everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Leanna. Today I'm doing another inspired by video. I've done a few of these recently, but those were inspired by eyeshadow palettes. This one is inspired by an anime. Usually when I do these videos, I do 3 looks inspired by like a show, a movie, a book, and this one is inspired by the Ancient Magus Bride. And this is a really dark fantasy anime. It's like really dark and kind of depressing, but it's quite beautiful the way that the story is told and the way that it's drawn. The characters are quite neat. There's a lot of like fairies and other creatures. Some of them are kind of disturbing. I decided to do 1 creature, 1 person, and 1 environment. So hopefully you'll stick around and see how I came up with this look and 2 others.
This first look was inspired by Chisei Hattori. I'm using Evergreen by Igneous Cosmetics on the outer half of my crease with a Wet n Wild P20 brush. This is a matte evergreen shade and I'm just using windshield wiper motions to put that in place. Then, using the same Wet n Wild brush and the same shade, I'm putting that on the outer half of my lid. Next, going into the Blush Tribe Hasina 2 palette and taking the shade Erin on the same Wet n Wild brush. This is a brighter green shade and that's going right on top of Evergreen in the exact same spot on the outer crease and outer lid. I'm going into the Hard Candy Look Pro Rose Gold palette and the shade Heartbeat, which is a matte red, and I'm taking this on an e.l.f. Cosmetics brush. I think it's their crease brush, and I'm just putting that on the inner half of my crease and making sure that it blends all the way into the shade Evergreen that I blended on the outer half of my crease. I'm taking the shade Stigmata from the Saint and Sinner palette, which is a metallic sort of orangey red, and this is on a small crease brush by Wet n Wild, putting that on the inner part of my lid. I'm taking it all the way up into the matte red in my crease and also blending it into the green shade on my lid. With the Wet n Wild P20 crease brush, I'm taking Erin from the Hasina 2 palette and blending Erin and Stigmata together on the lid. And then taking Shay from the Hasina 2 on this small crease brush. This is an olive green satin shade, and this will blend the 2 together even more. And now just blending the crease shades together with the P20 Wet n Wild brush. On the lower lash line, I'm taking the shade Mani from the Hasina 2. It's a matte olive green, and I'm using this on the large smudger brush from Real Techniques. On the inner corner, I'm taking Jade from the Hasina 2 palette, which is a metallic mint green shimmer, and this is from an Amazon Anjou brush set. Now I'm taking the shade Relic from the Saint and Sinner palette, which is a metallic yellow gold, and also with an Anjou brush, I'm taking a very thin line of this shade through the inner portion of my crease, kind of where the red stops and the green starts. For mascara, I'm using the Nars Climax mascara. This is the finished eye look inspired by Chisei Hattori. And this is how I finished the look off for the full face. This look was inspired by the blue Nemophila flower. I'm starting with Doom from the Pastel Goth palette on the Wet n Wild P20 brush through the crease, and this is a matte Robin's Egg blue. Like most shades in this palette, they require a bit of building, so I am having to dip in back and forth quite a bit in order to build up the pigment. I'm taking that same shade on a Real Techniques flat shader brush on the outer corner of my lid. And I'm also using that shader brush to pack on that pigment through the crease instead of using a fluffy brush before going on the inner corner of my lid, building a halo eye shape. Once I have the shape mapped out on each side, I'm going back in with the Wet n Wild P20 brush and just blending through the crease. For the center of the lid, I'm taking the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer in C0, which is a pure white shade, and just taking a single dot on each lid, then taking a Wet n Wild Small Concealer brush to blend that out. Really make sure that it's evenly coated on each lid and go back in with more concealer if you have to, like I did here on my right side, because if there's not enough there, it's going to be too translucent. And pat it on with your finger to blend it in. Before taking a white shade, I'm using the shade Skull from the Pastel Goth palette and going over top of the concealer to set it and make it even more opaque. And this is a Real Techniques flat shader brush once again. I'm taking my Sigma E36 small blending brush to go over the edges of the blue and the white to make sure that they're blended together and there isn't too much of a harsh line. And I did this once with the blue shade and now I'm doing it once with the white shade just to make sure it's really seamless. On the lower lash line, I'm taking Gloom from the Pastel Goth palette on the same Real Techniques flat shader brush. This is a matte green with almost a bit of gray to it, so Gloom really suits it. On the inner corner, I'm taking the Essence Single Shadow in Snowflake with a brush by Anjou, and this is just a white shimmer. And doing the same thing on each brow bone as well. Once again, taking the Nars Climax mascara on each eye. This is the finished eye look inspired by the blue Nemophila flower. And this is how I finished the rest of the face. This look was inspired by the blue Will-O-Wisp and the blue Flame. I'm starting with the shade Inika from the Blush Tribe Hasina 2 palette on the Wet n Wild P20 brush through the crease. This is a matte sky blue. As with the other blue I used in the previous look, this blue takes a little bit of building. It's a little bit sheer, but it does build up to opacity. Next, I'm taking the shade Ash from the Hasina 2 palette on a Real Techniques flat shader brush, and this is a matte black shade. Although in some lights it feels like it's almost a satin black. There's a little bit of sheen to it. I could be wrong. and this is going all over the lid up into the crease. To blend the lid and crease shades together, I'm taking my Sigma E36 brush with no product on it at first, and then I'm taking a little bit of Inika and blending the two together. I'm next taking the shade Ash on the lower lash line, and this brush is just from the Hard Candy Look Pro Rose Gold palette, and then taking Inika on my Sigma E36 brush to blend that out. I'm taking the NYX Epic Ink Liner, and wouldn't you know it, it decided to really go and be kind of a mess today, kind of go and dry out a little bit, but anyway, drawing a little bit of a wing and then starting to draw sort of a flame, just kind of drawing upward in little strokes in a sort of flame pattern. I'm not very good at this because I've never tried to do this on my eye before, but kind of just drawing in little swirls and strokes and really tiny brush strokes in whatever kind of pattern you think looks like a flame. And after I did my other eye, I made that side a bit bigger and more feathering outward like a flame would. So I did that, and we're taking Blue Sapphire from the Alchemist palette on this really fine nail brush and putting that over the black liner and all the way out on the flame area to create that blue flame will-o-wisp effect. And also putting that on the inner corner. And I'm using the Essence Lash Princess Sculpted Volume Mascara today instead of the Nars. And this is the finished look inspired by the blue will-o-wisp and the blue flame. And of course, the full face.
So those were the 3 looks. I hope that you enjoyed them. If you want to know more about the Ancient Magus Bride, I'll leave a couple of links down below so you could get started on your journey with it. I thought that it was a pretty good show. Maybe not as great as people hype it up to be. The anime community can be one of those things where they make every anime sound like it's the best anime of all time. No, I don't agree with that, but it was a really good show. So thank you so much for watching. I post Mondays and Fridays here on this channel in the afternoons Eastern time. I also post quite frequently on Instagram and Patreon, so if you want to subscribe or follow me, I would appreciate the support. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye everyone.